Have you ever looked back at yourself? You know, that little girl, young girl, baby girl from 15, 20 years ago, only to realize just how much you've changed? Have you ever thought about who you're going to be in 20 years' time? Which, for me, almost 70. Wow. That's quite scary, actually. And what are the things I'd like to say to them? These are some of the things we're going to be exploring in This Queen Says, a new podcast where I will be sitting down with alumni from my all-girls secondary school, Queen's College, Lagos, Nigeria. My name is Enitan Sawyerr. I've really been thinking about how to start this conversation because really, that's what this podcast is about. Good old conversations. And with all good conversations, it started with a moment that made me stop and think. I was working on a project, I think in early 2025 or so, around March, where I had the pleasure of interviewing two amazing women who had left QC, or Queen's College, in 1982. And there was a segment called What I Would Tell My Younger Self. And as I listened to them speak, to me they were like my older sisters, sharing their wisdom, the lessons that life had taught them. Something inside me shifted. What shifted was the fact that their words were so empowering, they were comforting, and they were so full of love. They made me realize how I wish I'd had access to women just like them throughout my life. My mother passed away many years ago, and I'm a firstborn. So there's always been that gaping hole, that absence of maternal wisdom, those conversations about life that I never got to have with her. And as I was sitting there, listening to these older women talk, I realized what I'd been missing. A few months later, I was sitting down with some friends from QC as well, surprise, surprise. And I started thinking about all the women that we know, all the women who carry these amazing stories, who, if only they had the opportunity to talk about their life lessons, they would realize how it could change everything for someone who's walking on a similar path. And that really was when This Queen Says was born. Let's be honest, there's always something magical and friggin' powerful when women who've known each other since they were girls watch each other become queens. We remember the fears, we remember the tears, we remember the crushes, the silly fashion, the makeup, the embarrassing moments. And that's what makes it so much fun. Because we get to celebrate who we're becoming today with no judgment, just love. And what I discovered when I started having these conversations with the guests who've appeared on the podcast is that, to be honest, it's not about Queen's College. It's really about every single one of us who've ever wondered if we're doing life right. For every woman who's looked at someone else's journey and thought, how the hell did she figure it all out? And one of the beautiful things I've learned is when my guests have said that it's okay to change their mind about what success means to them. It's personal, it's individual. So whether you're a QC girl or not, it doesn't really matter. This podcast is for you. We're going to hear conversations about life. Not career, not networking tips, not improved communication, but the deeper wisdom that comes from simply living. There are going to be conversations about growth, about looking back and seeing just how far we've come, how much we've learned, and how we've discovered who we are when no one's watching. Because one thing I've realized is that when we stop and we reflect, we realize just how much we've achieved and how much we do not give ourselves the credit we deserve. Not just in our careers, I'm not saying they're not important, no, not at all, but in our capacity to love ourselves, to forgive ourselves, to keep going when everything seems so bloody hard. And how at the end of it all, we become kinder to ourselves. One thing I hope that comes through in the podcast is that there's no right way to wear your crown. It's yours. Some of us wear it boldly. Some of us are still learning how to put it on. But some of us are discovering that our crown looks nothing like we thought it would be. And that's okay. So grab a cup of tea, if that's your thing, or wine, which is more my thing. Get comfortable and join me for these conversations, because honestly, we all have a story that could change someone else's life. And I can't wait to share these stories with you. I'll see you in the next episode, my lovelies. Until then, remember, you've got this. We always have.